Hi and welcome back to the show. Yes, I'm joined with Andrew Stewart and we're going to be talking about applying for finance and how much information do you have to give over, and is too much too much? Stay with us and we'll be right back and explore this topic so you get the finance you want when you want it. Hi Andrew. Well, we're having a little bit of a giggle as Michael goes waffling on. Talking about too much is too much. But applying for finance. You know, I mean, I've seen the finance documents. Apart from being complex, I'm often wondering, am I giving them enough information?
Yes, you could well be giving them too much. Actually, there's no such thing as too much information. But I think the important thing is to manage how that information is given across to the financier.
Right.
We have some products which are in fact low doc, where we can establish pre-qualification.
Okay.
And that pre-qualification reduces the amount of information that we have to give across to the financier who's making the approval.
When you say low doc, is these things we've heard of where basically the accountant says I can afford the repayments and he puts a couple little bits and pieces in and a bank balance statement or whatever, and we just sign off and say, yes, I agree, I can afford this? And
potentially, but it's probably more about the self-certification.
Right.
There's probably a little bit less emphasis generally on accountants being able to back that up. A finance broker is able to do it as well, but we would look at the information and we'd say, this is the story. Pulling in extraneous or additional information can sometimes make the decision maker behind the loan think, oh, should I be looking further in here about something?
So sometimes you can put stuff in that the person reading it goes, well, what's this about? And starts to prompt them to ask more questions that aren't really required.
So if I asked you for your story on your business plan, you know, would you give me a paragraph, a page, or the full document, which might be 30 pages long?
Probably a one-pager.
Well, a paragraph is probably enough.
Oh, well, there you go.
In many occasions, yeah.
Wow.
Well, if your business has been running for 2 years, you've already got a track record established.
Yeah.
You're a property owner. You've got your house. That's pre-qualification. And if you say, well, you know, I run the deli. I run a deli and operate a deli. Well, you don't have to necessarily have a full business plan around the deli and explain that on Friday afternoons it's not quite as busy as it is on, you know, Tuesday mornings, and so on. You don't need to go into all that.
Yeah.
The credit officers have got a good idea about what's going on.
Yeah.
It can.
So when we go from low doc and then we start talking about full doc loans, because now we're in a different ballpark, aren't we? And I guess the question comes, well, first of all, let's talk about a full doc. What's expected in there?
So we would typically use the full document process, where we would probably go for the full one-page business plan.
Right.
Because it's probably a new business and is not pre-qualifying for the low doc route.
Okay.
So we're using more information to build up the case for you to take the finance.
Okay. So it's more a case of the less time you've been in business, or the less track record you've got, let's phrase it that way, then the more documentation you're probably going to go into a full doc route, so the person lending you the money gets a better understanding of what you're about.
Correct. And it's going to be those instances where it's more complex, where the lend is much larger, the business is much newer. There's these things where we're falling outside of a kind of easy to understand mainstream lend. Once we get bigger or more complex, it requires more analysis.
So when people are talking about how much information to give, I guess by coming to a finance broker, is that what you start to look at initially? You start to say, okay, let's see your story so you can decide the correct path?
Yeah. Well, if I was going through a divorce, for instance, for the first time,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know the process.
No.
And I'd be thinking, do they need this? Do they need that? I'd be all these questions I'd be asking myself. What do I need to how to go through the process?
Yes.
But because I'm doing it every day, I know exactly what is going to be required, and so we can quickly, easily determine what's required and what's not, and build up the case that's in an easily digestible form for the banks or the credit officers to understand what they're dealing with.
Yeah. When you go for, apart from, probably from a business owner's perspective, it comes from their time that there's obviously a lot less time if I'm just going to have to do a low doc loan, if I'm pre-qualified, as to a full doc. But are there time differences on the other end? Do the loan officers, is one easier to process? Is one quicker? Is there a vast difference?
Great question. Yeah, there's a vast difference. The low doc loan, we could put the submission in the morning and have an approval within hours.
Wow.
And we could settle it the day after or the day after that. Very, very quick. Because it's all about the pre-qualification.
Right.
As opposed to the full doc, where we could be waiting days or weeks, and sometimes more, to get the result.
So if you're in business, and I suppose there's a multitude of business experiences out there. I mean, it could be that, you know, you've taken on a new contract, you suddenly need a new machine, but you know, we know what it's like. Customers have demands on you. Like, look, I'll give you the contract, start tomorrow, basically.
Yeah.
So they're stuck now because they went the full doc route. They know it's going to be days, weeks. They've got to get the machine, they've got to do the training. So a quicker route, if they've been in business for a while, they can come with their story. And if they're getting qualified within a day or so, that's got to make a huge advantage.
Oh, absolutely. Time is money.
Yeah.
So the quicker you can get out there operating and earning the money,
Yeah.
the better off you're going to be.
Are there certain things that you would say, well, this doesn't suit a low doc loan, a particular type of lending, or is it just on the circumstances or the longevity of your business?
No, there's quite strict criteria that we know that we have to meet certain products.
Yeah.
And even within the broad spectrum of the low doc, each lender has different products that they will pre-qualify you on.
Ah.
So because we've built up an eye for it all,
Yes.
we know where your particular inquiry will be best suited to make sure that it streams into that. Because what might fit low doc with one lender might be full doc with another.
Yeah, and you've mentioned this to me before. It's one of the pitfalls, I suppose, that if you try and do it yourself, you can fall into, because, and I think you were talking to me before, we put in loan applications, gets knocked back, so we put in another one with someone else, it gets knocked back, we put in with a third one.
Yep.
The third one goes, you've been knocked back twice, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? Yeah.
And it could just be you're putting into the wrong person.
And it looks really bad, but there's nothing wrong with you at all, or the deal.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's just that you just asked the wrong person.
Yeah.
Jeez. We're going to take a break and we'll come back with more with Andrew Stewart and all about lending and the complexities and how much do you have to tell them to get the money. And I suppose it's all about your personal circumstances and what you're going to use it for.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.